Dan Safford here. Now, you've probably heard time and again that in proposals, it's not enough to simply show that you can meet the RFP requirements, but that you also have to be able to demonstrate the specific benefits that your product or service brings the customer. This makes sense when you think about it. I mean, after all, in a competitive procurement environment, most of the competitors are going to be pretty even in terms of qualifications, experience, and even products. And so it stands to reason that the proposals with the most benefits in it are the ones that win at the end of the day. So why is it, though, that most teams have such trouble being able to put their benefit statements in their proposals? Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. Partly it's because I think there's some confusion about what a benefit really is. And the other one is that most people simply aren't used to mixing features and benefits in their writing. Well, that's what this video is all about. It's called How to Write Benefit Statements. Okay, let's take a look at what you learned from this video. The video covers 6 main topics. When is a benefit really a benefit? The difference between a feature and a benefit. I'll tell you 4 uncomfortable truths. And I'll give you 3 comforting facts. We'll talk about the characteristics of an effective benefit statement. And we'll look at how to combine features with benefits. All right, that's a handful, so let's get started with the most important thing to remember about features and benefits. And for my money, the most important thing to remember is a feature is only a benefit if the customer wants it. This doesn't mean you think he should want it. It doesn't mean that everyone you talk to thinks it's a benefit, so you might as well include it as one. It doesn't mean that the customer would be a fool not to think it's a benefit. It means that in order to be a benefit, the feature you offer must be associated with something your customer values. Because value is the ultimate persuader in a proposal. The more value you bring to the customer, the greater your chances of winning. And benefits are the proof of the value you bring. Often the winning proposal comes down to who offers more bang for the buck. And bang for the buck means, do I get more from company A than from company B for roughly the same price? Now let's take a look at an example of a section I helped a writer with on a proposal. In this example, we began with one of the requirements stated in the request for proposals. The proposal shall describe how a consultant will develop a database to conduct data searches. That's pretty straightforward. The customer needed a database built for this project and wanted all the competitors to describe how they would do it. This way, the evaluator could judge how well each competitor understood the problem and could test their technical competence. Now, besides the RFP requirement, we knew, based on previous discussions with the customer, that he wanted to spend less time conducting these database searches. So, their employees spend too much time conducting data searches. Customer wanted a system that will reduce the time spent on these searches. Now, again, this wasn't a requirement in the RFP, but we knew it was important. So now we knew that we had to send 2 messages in this section. We know how to answer the RFP requirement, and we are capable of meeting it. And 2, we also understand that it is important to the customer that the solution will result in time savings. So, armed with the RFP requirement and with the main messages we wanted to send, the proposal section writer produced a section that included this proposal paragraph. We will tailor the procedure for identifying private residences so that the parcel containing the residence will be coded using the county tax lot ID number. This will place the accounts that form the residence account ID numbers in a separate table using the parcel ID as the reference to the digital map. Now, the first sentence is a perfectly acceptable description of what we'll do to help the customer conduct data searches. And the second sentence tells what will result. Both of these sentences demonstrate that we know how to meet the RFP requirement. The problem, however, is that it doesn't answer the question, so what? So what is the benefit to the customer? How does our perfectly acceptable approach help meet his need for speeding up data searches? Without the so what, the customer is left to figure out for himself if we really understand why he wants this requirement. Any smart database designer can meet the requirement. It takes something extra, however, to show that our approach offers a clear and distinct benefit. Okay, so how do we show the customer that we offer more than the other guys? Well, before we answer that, let's define a couple of words. Features and benefits. A feature is what you provide. A benefit is what the customer gets. Your proposal will be full of features. They are the items you will offer or the services you provide to meet the requirements of the RFP. Air conditioning in a car is a feature, like a radio or power windows. It doesn't, however, offer any intrinsic benefit. An experienced highway design team is a feature that your firm provides. Again, though, there's nothing of particular value in that feature. Saying that we will use real-time data collection systems to monitor trends and identify off-nominal operation is a feature of our approach. In and of itself, though, it does not offer any intrinsic value. All of these are features. They may help you meet the RFP requirements, but they do not by themselves constitute specific benefits. Benefits are the results that the customer wants from the feature. Air conditioning becomes a benefit when the user wants relief from the heat. During August in Chicago, air conditioning is a benefit. However, in a Chicago winter, an air conditioning unit is just a hunk of machinery. No benefit there. An experienced highway design team can result in lower project costs and on-time performance due to a lower learning curve. That's the so what that brings a distinct benefit from the feature. Our use of real-time data collection systems to monitor trends and identify off-nominal operation will allow us to address problems quickly and avert major disruptions to the workflow. This is a real benefit to a customer worried about keeping his operations moving smoothly. In a competitive environment, it's not enough to offer only features that give the customer what he requires in the RFP. In order to be seen as different from your competitors, you must also show the customer that you know and can give him what he wants: benefits. Okay, now let me share with you some uncomfortable truths. First is, in a competitive environment, most firms offer very similar approaches. You know this is true. Your competitors will offer basically the same approach to meeting the requirements and will bring professionals with equal skill and experience. Number two, it's difficult for the evaluator to tell you all apart. Because all the competitors bring the same approach and skill set, the customer has a hard time telling you apart. If you all offer the same features, it will come down to price. Think about when you buy, a can of beans at the grocery store. If the name brand and the store brand offer the same ingredients, the chances are you will buy the less expensive store brand. And then finally, you need to differentiate yourself from the competitors. You may know in your hearts that you are better than the competition at addressing the customer's needs on this particular project, but you need to show that to the customer. Okay, so much for uncomfortable truths. Now for some comforting facts. The first is, clear and direct benefits separate you from the competitors. If you point out that your approach to conducting a certain task brings tangible benefits, something you know the customer wants, then you have given them more than just a can of beans. You've given them a can of beans seasoned just the way you know they want. This raises the bar in the evaluation. If you offer a benefit for conducting the task and the other competitors don't, then your approach stands out. The more benefits you show, the greater the distinction between you and your competition. If you consistently tie the features of your approach, what you will do, to benefits you know the customer wants, then your proposal will rise above the others. Customers, like any buyer, like feeling they are getting plenty of value for their money. The more distinctive differences you have, the better your chances of winning. Ultimately, the customer will award the job to the firm whose features give him more of what he wants. Okay, let's go back to our example and see if we can't make it a winning proposal paragraph. Remember in our example that these two sentences essentially describe our approach to building a database. I said both are features of our approach and yield no specific benefit. By the way, it's worth pointing out here that the author of this section is a technical wizard who lives and breathes database structures. He wrote the second sentence thinking of it as a benefit. As a techie, he sees the intrinsic value of placing accounts in a database in a certain way. I had to tell him, though, that in the first place, the reader of his section may not be as smart as he is in terms of database structures and may not see the benefit. But more importantly, the benefit must be spelled out and absolutely clear so that the customer knows that you know what he wants. So when I gave this paragraph back to the author, I said, okay, what's the benefit of this? What does the customer get that helps him conduct data searches quickly? The author went away and returned with this sentence added to the paragraph. This standardizes the method for conducting database searches. Well, this extra detail is good. It helps explain what our approach will do, standardize the method for conducting database searches, and it further demonstrates our competence. But it's still just a feature. In and of itself, a standardized approach doesn't bring specific benefit. So I asked the author again to tell me exactly what was the benefit of standardized database searches. By this time, of course, he was frustrated and angry, and he blurted out, "It means you won't waste time having to use different search protocols." And, of course, that was the answer. So, here's what we had at the end of the second revision. The original sentences 1 and 2 answer what we will do and how we will do it. This establishes our competence in this area of specialization. Sentence 3 tells what this approach will yield, and sentence 4, the new one, tells the customer what he will get from our approach, which is the thing he told us he wanted, to save time. During his evolution, the writer realized the value of what we were doing. At one point, he asked if it would help if we told how much time savings this approach would yield. I said, absolutely. Quantifiable results are really persuasive. I asked how much time it would save, and he said it should cut the time in half. I asked if the person reading this would believe it, and he said if it's a person who understands this stuff, he'd believe it. So I said, let's go for it. And here's the final that we included in the proposal. Pause the video here and take a look at the slight changes we made. We moved this sentence from the back of the paragraph to the front. It emphasizes the standardization idea that we figure the evaluator would understand and appreciate. Then we added this bit about trial and error to imply that the current approach is wasteful, especially compared to our standardized methodology. We left the middle two sentences pretty much alone, except for some minor editing to get rid of the passive voice, plus we added the words to standardize the methodology to tie the following sentences with the first statement in the above paragraph. Consistency. Then we added the kicker about saving half the time. This drives home the benefit of our approach. The result was a very good proposal paragraph. All right, when you're working on benefits, keep these things in mind. Effective benefit statements must be something the customer wants. They should be stimulating to capture the reader's attention. That cutting the time in half captured the reader's attention. They should be a direct result of the feature you offer. They should be conclusive, factual, and brief. And they must be believable. The customer must believe you can deliver. Okay, to summarize, features are what you offer to meet the RFP requirements. Features alone do not win proposals. Benefits are what the customer gets as a result of your features. The more benefits the customer sees in your proposal, the better your chances of winning. Well, that's the basics of how to write benefit statements. I posted a couple of examples like the one above in separate videos. Take a look and see how we did it. You can always send questions and comments via the form on the page. And don't forget to check out the rest of the videos. And until next time, happy proposaling.